Hi, welcome back to Chow with Chow. I'm Katie, and today we're making a brown sugar dry rub barbecue pork rib baked in the oven. These ribs are sweet and peppery and smothered with a gorgeous homemade barbecue sauce. And the best part is the ribs are made in the oven, so it's super hands-off. So the first thing we're going to do is pat it nice and dry with a paper towel. I have a St. Louis spare rib, but you could also use a baby back rib. It's just whatever I have in the grocery store, and this was on sale. We want it nice and dry, so when we are putting on our dry rub, it'll stick. All right, that looks nice and dry. The next thing we're going to do is remove this membrane. So on the back of the ribs, behind the bones, they have this little membrane, and that can make it really tough when we're eating. It also doesn't let the flavors get in there. So using our little paring knife, just gonna stick it in there and try to get a little hold of that membrane. What I like to do is take a paper towel and kind of grip onto it. Let's try to rip it off. Oh. Okay, got a little bit. Oh yeah. Oh yeah! Yes! Amazing. I missed a little bit. Let me grab this bit. There we go. Woo! Oh, awesome. There's usually a couple of fat pockets, so I'm just gonna take my paring knife and trim off some of this excess fat. All right, that looks pretty good. Let me quickly wash my hands. Okay, so our ribs are sweet and peppery. So to start off, we have a good amount of brown sugar. Now I'm using brown sugar instead of granulated sugar because it has that deep, rich, molassesy, caramelized flavor that I'm really looking for in my ribs. We also, giving a little nod to my Texas barbecue, we're adding a good amount of freshly ground black pepper. Also adding in some onion powder, some smoked paprika, and this is my favorite brand, some garlic powder, adding in a teaspoon of salt and some chili powder for a little bit of heat, and cumin. And let's give this a little mix. Look at how cute that is, so blended, and it smells amazing. Now it's time to get our hands a little dirty and rub this all over our ribs. I'm gonna start with the meaty side so I can get all those flavors in there. Now we've got a good amount of dry rub, so we don't need to be shy. Just sprinkle it all over, and then we're going to give these little ribs a good massage and get it into the meat. We're gonna flip it around and do the same thing on the bone side. All right, this side looks pretty good. Now there's some important parts that we don't want to forget to put our dry rub on, and that's the bottom and the tops of our ribs. Whenever you're holding a little rib in your mouth and you wanna suck it clean, that's where all the flavor is, so don't forget it. So I'm gonna make sure to get our dry rub on the sides as well. Now I'm a Texas gal, and our Texas barbecue is known for being really spicy, peppery, and smoky. But I also have a very Taiwanese palate. So I like my savory foods a little bit sweeter. So whenever I made ribs at home, I always tried to make it a little sweeter with some brown sugar and really saucy. And today's ribs are just that, sweet and peppery and saucy. It's kind of like the best of both worlds. We're going to preheat our oven now to 275. We want to cook it low and slow to get that nice flavor. And we're going to pop this into a little pouch in aluminum foil. Now the reason we're going to put it into a pouch is because that aluminum foil locks in the flavors of the ribs, and it's going to create and catch all of our little drippings from our ribs in order to make our barbecue sauce later. Scrunch it in a little bit. All right, and then we are going to fold it up around the sides. We want to keep this juice and all of its drippings in, so we want to like kind of burrito it up. Let's do another layer over the top. Now we are going to do one more layer of foil because we want to cook our meat side down. So right now our meat is up and our bones are down. So we're going to take this bad boy, flip it around, and create one final seal. They're gorgeous. Now I've got a baking sheet here, and we want to make sure we get a baking sheet with walls, so that way if any drippings do happen to seep out, it will be caught and not make a mess in our oven. We're gonna bake this for about 2.5 hours until the meat is fall off the bone tender. Ooh, Sophie, excuse me. And now it's time for you to relax. While the ribs are cooking, you could have been working on some side dishes or just hanging out and watching Netflix like what I was doing. But now that we have a couple minutes left on our ribs, we're going to start working on our barbecue sauce. So in a little saucepan, I'm going to get some ketchup. Now I'm using a classic tomato, really tomatoey ketchup, so we can have that really great tomato flavor. We're also going to add some apple cider vinegar for some acidity. I love that smell. I'm adding some brown sugar for sweetness. And we want to emulate that flavor that was in the ribs in our dry rub. So I'm going to add some paprika, just like we did on our dry rub, and a little bit of cumin. Let's turn the heat on low and then get this whisking. We'll let these flavors hang out together for a little bit on super low heat while we check on our ribs. Oh, heavy. Oh, look at this little hot pocket. I'm going to take a peek here. And right now I just want to check if they are all done cooking. Woo! Now watch out for the steam. Okay, perfect. I see the bones are right there with me, so I'm going to do something called the bone check, where I just pinch the bone, and if I can twist it just a little bit and I can feel it give way, that means our meat is cooked well enough that the collagen is starting to melt down and it's perfect fall off the bone tender. Since our ribs are perfectly done, we are going to harvest these rib drippings to put into our barbecue sauce. I'm going to take this package and cut a little hole at the bottom. And now, carefully dumping in our juice. Oops, I've already lost some. Whoa, that's a lot of liquid. Nice. So I can see there's a layer of oil at the top of our drippings, and we don't really want that in our barbecue sauce. So I'm using, if you've watched Chow with Chow before, I'm using this handy dandy spoon. If you happen to have a spoon that you're just fine bending, bend that bad boy up. And we are going to just scoop some of that oil right off the top. Wow, I got all of it. Look, there's no more oil. Now we're not using all of this, but we're just going to drizzle what we're using into our barbecue sauce and let that thicken up and cook together. To finish up our dish, we want our ribs facing meat side up. So, I'm going to try to figure out how to turn this around. Now our ribs are really tender, so we don't want it to break open as we're flipping it around. Hui! Ah, very nice. Now that we flipped it over, we can just cut him open right down the middle. That's really good. But adjust as you go. Add a little bit more salt, add a little bit more pepper. If you want it a little bit more tang, add a little more apple cider vinegar, some more sugar. Taste as you go. Experiment what you like and the consistency you like. But now I've got my sauce nice and thick, and we're ready to slather over our ribs. So just with a little painting brush, I'm going to paint some barbecue sauce all over our ribs. All right, now that that's all covered, we're going to stick this guy in the broiler for just a couple of minutes until it gets nice and golden. Okay, it's been in there for about 3 minutes. Ooh, getting gorgeous. Now I like my ribs saucy, so we're gonna hit it with another layer and stick it back under the broiler for a couple minutes. We're looking for it to be nice and crispy on the top. Oh, it smells amazing! Oh, look at that gorgeous barbecue sauce crust. Oh, it looks amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and cut into it and sneak myself a little bite. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. All right, let me set these to the side, and I'm gonna go for this middle rib here. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that's a little hot. A little hot. Oh my goodness. Look at how tender that meat is. All right, I'm gonna go for it. What? What? So tender. First of all, it's amazing. The meat is so tender, but it still has a bite to it. It's got a nice chew. And it's not like fall apart. It still has a gorgeous meat texture to it. The flavor, it's sweet, peppery, smoky, and the paprika, the brown sugar, the caramelization. I'm gonna dunk into some more sauce. Y'all, this is amazing. At a loss for words. I can't wait for y'all to try this. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Try this out, and I can't wait to see y'all next time. Thanks again for watching Chow with Chow.